Delarite, my MVVs, welcome. Delarite, just 6 minutes after the Great Lion released Ogünjãyi from his shrine, the palace was not the same again. Nobody could breathe normally. Nobody could blink. Nobody could pretend. Even the guards that used to stand like statues were shaking. People kept whispering, looking around like something was already crawling in the air. And truly something was, because 6 minutes later, a shout broke out from behind the royal powerhouse. That corner of the palace, people don't go to anyhow. That dark part, elders always avoided the place. People believe ancestors pass by each night. That's the powerhouse. That's where they have their generating plant. But you do know that beside the generating plant, they have a lot of shrines right there in the palace. So people try to avoid that place as much as possible. They say one of the younger guards screamed first, and others ran. The sound of their, race, was something else. Very, very loud, the way they ran. They found, when they got there, they said what they saw, nobody could believe. They found the royal staff. The missing staff that had turned the whole palace upside down. The staff that made the Great Lion give that thunderous order. Nobody had ever heard from him before. The staff that carried the authority of hundreds of years. It was lying on the ground. But that was not even the shocking part. 2 elders from Ile Orokitan were lying beside it. Crying, not unconscious, so not sleeping, crying. Their mouths were trembling like people trying to speak but couldn't. Their eyes were wide open but rolling. Their hands were stretched out like they were begging someone visible to, leave them alone. Nobody touched them. Nobody went near them. Everyone just stood and stared. Because how do you explain that these were the same elders who minutes ago were insisting they knew nothing? How do you explain that from the 7 elders who ran to Ikpitu Ayugbajo overnight, thinking Ogünjãyi cannot enter the town, 3 of them were already also found dead? Everything changed. It wasn't gossip anymore. It wasn't accusation anymore. It wasn't Ebony crying and shouting, "I am innocent." Something had moved. Something had changed. Delarite, and now everyone could see it with their eyes. Ebony herself came running when she heard the screaming. She saw the staff on the ground and the pine elders beside it, and she broke down immediately. She didn't even pretend, She started crying like someone who finally realized she had crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. She kept shaking her head, repeating, I didn't touch it. I don't know anything about it. I have nothing to do with this. Now, why was she doing that? She was doing that because these elders are from Orokitan, her own side of the faction, the people who are supporting her. Yes, these elders are from there. One of the guards bent to check if the elder were still breathing. The moment his hands hovered close to them, the younger vigilante shouted, "Don't touch, leave it. Leave them, leave that place. It's spiritual." And, he withdrew sharply. Everyone was afraid of anything that looked like connection to Ogünjãyi. The Great Lion himself arrived. The moment he stepped there, silence swallowed the entire, atmosphere. People shifted back on their own. Nobody told them to. His presence alone forced them to open some of the things that, they had used to wrap the staff. He just stood there staring at the staff where it lay. He didn't bend. He didn't talk. He didn't ask questions. He didn't even look at the, crying elders. He looked like someone who was listening to something nobody else could hear. Like he was trying to understand the message behind the way the staff was found. Then one of the elders whispered, "Kabiyesi, this matter has passed the level of human explanation." But the Great Lion didn't look at him. He just said, very slowly, "Did I not warn them? Did I not tell them that once Ogünjãyi rises, nobody can hide?" People's heart dropped, okay? Because at this time, he had already released Ogünjãyi. 6 minutes. 6 minutes past 1. 6 minutes past 1. They were doing the ritual till 1 o'clock. They said it was exactly 1 a.m. that Ogünjãyi was released, 6 minutes past 1 that night, because people were all over the place. Guys were moving around, and this whole thing happened. They said Bonny was still crying, still trying to explain herself, still saying she didn't know who moved the staff, still swearing she never touched anything that belonged to the palace, still insisting her family was being wrongly accused, but nobody answered her. Nobody even looked at her properly. The kind of panic around the palace was bigger than her explanation. Some of the other wives stood far away watching, scared. Some were confused. Some were trembling, because what kind of situation is this, where elders are dying beside the sacred staff and no one can say exactly how the staff got there? The 2 elders on the ground managed to move their fingers slightly, very slowly, like they wanted to hold something, like they wanted to confess, like they wanted to release a secret before they finally left the world. But their throat couldn't produce word. Their breaths were shallow. Their bodies were cold. The younger, guards and vigilantes were whispering among themselves, why did the staff appear exactly here? Is this where they tried to hide it? Did someone chase them to this place? They said Ogünjãyi moves without footsteps. Maybe. Nobody finished any sentence. Nobody wanted to say anything that would invite more trouble. Then the great lion finally turned to the chief priest and said, leave the staff. No one else should touch it. Wrap it with a white cloth. Take it back to its spot. The chief priest swallowed what he had, stepped forward and lifted the staff. Carefully, his hands shaking like a child trying to carry fire. The moment the staff left the ground, one of the pine elders gasped, the deepest gasp, like his soul was pulling out of his chest, and then that was it. That was it. People jumped back. Some screamed. Ebony nearly collapsed. Even the old knee's jaw tightened. The second elder took one last shallow breath and went still. They both, by the moment the staff was, lifted from the ground. Nobody needed a prophet to explain anything. The palace guard covered the bodies and dragged them away peacefully, but quickly, because nobody wanted to stand too close. Then the great lion said something very quietly, but everybody heard it clearly. This is only the beginning. Whoever touched the staff, whoever lied, whoever ran, they will not survive the moon. They will not survive it, because they will pay for everything they have put this palace through. I said people started crying. Ebony was crying. Everyone was afraid, because Ogünjãyi has already been let loose. This is what is going on right now in the palace. I'm going to bring you more update. Do not forget that these are all alleged, rumored, unverified information making the rounds on social media and should not be seen as fact.